I've got with me Suzi Kitcher, CEO of Sodexo Global Lounge. Is that right, Suzi?
That is right, Chris. Thank you. Yes.
I'm doing well so far. Doing well so far. Suzi, can I ask you, what was your spark? Why did you get into the hospitality industry? What got you into it?
Yeah, well, it's a funny thing, really, because actually when I was at school, and I was never that academic, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I sort of drifted into sixth form, and then sort of drifted out of there. And it was my mum that suggested it, my late mum. She suggested, why don't you try to go to catering college? She had a friend whose son had become a restaurant manager, and that seemed like a really good job to her at the time. And seeing as I didn't know what I wanted to do, she was like, yeah, why don't you try this? And I did, and I loved it, actually. I guess, she probably knew better than me myself what I would really like. And so I went to do a BTEC in hotel catering and institutional operations. And
as it was in those days?
Those days, yeah. And I did that for 2 years. Yeah, and actually then when I left, I was working as a chef for Trust House 40, which is another brand that isn't around anymore.
Sadly.
And yeah, I mean, I loved the work in the kitchen, but I hated the split shifts, and all my friends were, had 9-to-5 jobs. So I actually got an office job in the offices of a contract catering firm. And that's really where my career started. And I stayed with that company for about 5 years. And then eventually I got a job in another company in Bracknell. This is where Chris and I worked together.
We did indeed, happily.
3 days. So actually, when I was about 20, I was Chris's PA. And I worked in that. Actually, in my early 20s, I had a health scare. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it took me a little while to recover from that. But
yeah,
it sort of made me. It's a bit of a life-changing thing, I suppose, and it just made me a bit more bold. And while I was, doing a standard office job before I went off, and when I came back, and then there was an opportunity for. I knew they were recruiting a salesperson, and I'd always been working in the sales team, supporting the sales team in the company. And it just, I think having been through what I've been through just made me a little bit bolder than I normally would be. So, I asked for a chance to do sales, and they said yes. And that's, I had nearly 20 years.
Very good at it as well, Suzi. You were a very good salesperson, natural person.
Learned from the master, Chris, and a few others, of course. And I think I never would have thought, actually, of when I was at catering college, I never would have thought of contract catering particularly as a career. But it's, I've worked all of my life in contract catering and facilities management, and it's, I really would recommend people, think a little wider than perhaps the, the traditional restaurant market or, whatever people are thinking of. I think it still is and can be a great career.
Yeah, most people I speak to in the contract catering business, which I've been in for quite a few years, as you know, came from the hotel business. Because, I think we all started, well, back in my day, with stars in my eyes about hotel management and glorious hotels, and then you realise you get a life and you get married.
Yeah,
and, I know when I got married, Lorraine worked in hotels as well. It was in one door and out the other. We never saw each other, so I went to contract catering. That's how I got there. But I think you're right; it's a good career. Yeah. And where did you go after that, Suze?
So I did about 10 or 12 years with what's known as Rentokil Initial now, but it was a different company in those days. And then I actually, my boss at that organisation went to work for Aramark, and I did 2 or 3 years with Aramark. And then I was approached by Elior, and I ended up working for them for 5 years, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, really, really fun company to work for. And then I decided, because I'd worked for a few big companies, I thought it might be nice to see what it's like working for a small company, you know, where I could be really part of the decisions of, you know, what we do going forward, instead of a big corporation always telling you do this and you follow the strategy. And so I went to work for a small company called Artisan, and that was a lovely organization. I was working with lovely people, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I did, I think, as much as working for a big organization. I guess for me, it was everything that I joined it for. You know, I could have a lot of influence in the direction of the company. That was fantastic. But it did involve having to do a lot of things myself, which I hadn't been used to, which was okay as well. I didn't mind, you know, getting my hands dirty, doing whatever, but it just meant that everything progressed a lot slower. Than, you know, if you have a lot of resources. And I just felt after 2 or 3 years, I wasn't really sure. And then I had a phone call from an old friend of mine who I'd worked with before, a chap called Simon Carey, who I think you may know as well, Chris. And he was working at Sodexo, and he said, "Oh, you know, I think there's a great job here for you." And I was like, I'm not sure, you know, I didn't really want to leave this little family business. But in the end, after about 6 months, I thought, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. I want to get back to, you know, working again. And that was 10 years ago. And I think it's good at some point in your career, and probably early in your career, to work for a big company, because you learn how to do things, proper things. You know, you learn how to do things properly, different processes, and you can make mistakes, and it's somebody else's money you're making mistakes with, and hopefully you don't make too many mistakes, and you learn from those, of course.
That's what my dad always told me, Susie. Make your mistakes with somebody else's money, and I think he was right. Yeah.
I mean, whether you imagine yourself to be an entrepreneur or not, I think it's a good discipline to go and work for a big organization and understand, you know, how that works, and it gives you ideas as well, you know, for your own business. So I think it's very interesting. And, you know, in Sodexo, an international company, that, you know, has given me a fantastic career journey. They've given me the opportunity to move from business development into, you know, more of an operational role and a multifunctional role that I have now. And, you know, I've been very fortunate to work with some great teams. And in my current job, so I'm managing other businesses nationally. I'm very fortunate to get to travel to, you know, all over the world, to America, to Asia, across Europe as well. So it's very, very
fantastic. And you still travel an awful lot now?
Well, not right now, because we're in lockdown and most things are restricted.
Well, I don't suppose you've got any busy lounges.
Well, no, exactly. So most of our lounges are temporarily closed at the moment.
Yeah.
Some of them have reopened. A few of them never closed. But yeah, it's the industry's been hit very, very hard, and so that's been quite a difficult thing to manage, and to manage that remotely as well. You know, having to furlough a lot of people and lay off a lot of people. It's been very, very tough thing to do.
Not easy times, Susie. Not easy times at all. I mean, we've got a small travel company as part of the college, and they're struggling very much so.
Yeah, I think it's.
So, let me ask you a question. If you were looking for somebody to come and work for Sodexo from college, say, what are you looking for? What are you going to look for? What do you want from them?
I think someone who's just can really demonstrate their passion for the business. I think that enthusiasm goes a long way. you know, you can teach people, you know, technical skills or the way you want them to, you know, to do things, but you really want someone to believe in the cause and to be enthusiastic about the mission that you're on. So, and I think, you know, someone who's really, yeah, committed and really wants to be there and can demonstrate that in, you know, in the interview and in the follow-up as well. I think it's important. You know, I remember I went for a job once and I nearly didn't get it. And the reason I did get it was because I took the time to send an email afterwards to say that, you know, I really, really wanted the role and felt I could really make a difference. And that the recruiter afterwards told me that was the thing that tipped over the edge, if you like. And I just think, who, you know, whoever you're having an interview with, they're, you know, they're a human person as well, and they just, you know, they're exactly the same as you, and they think the same way, and they appreciate people that have taken the time to do a little bit of research, really thought about what they could bring the role. And yeah, I think it's all the little details really that are important. Try to prepare. Yeah, try to prepare as much as possible. I think get to know about the organisation, have a look. You know, there's lots of websites, aren't there, like Glassdoor, etc. Have a look about what it's like to work for that company, and come armed with some questions.
That's good. That's good. I try and get them ready to do it, and I try and tell them, you know, that the most important thing they've got to have is a passion for the business. And if they don't have a passion for the business, it shows out, doesn't it, when you're talking to somebody and you know, they're not passionate. And everyone I've spoken to so far has said that's what they're looking for. They want someone who's presentable and passionate and who'll look for the job and do their research.
Yeah, and I would add to that as well and say, just don't worry if you don't have your plan of, you know, what you want to do completely mapped out in life. I mean, I definitely didn't know where or how I wanted to specialise. I didn't know how, you know, could have never imagined, you know, when I was at college, or, you know, being in the role that I'm in today. Didn't even know it existed. So don't worry about that. I think you just keep an open mind and show that enthusiasm, and it, you know, it will come, I think.
Yeah, the other thing, I'm glad that you've come on today, because, you know, I think it's good to see some females in senior roles, because, you know, I try and tell the girls that just for you, it's not just for men, it's for you as well. And there's a great opportunity in this business for everybody.
Yeah, so and I think, yeah, I think that's really, really true. I think organisations now really, I mean, I really appreciate the benefit of a diverse team. So I think, you know, people from different backgrounds, different cultures, people who've had different experiences. I would hate to have a team that just all think like me, agree with me, you know, do the same thing as me, because that's, you know, that's going to be very boring, and it's not going to work for our clients and customers. You know, what we need are people that can challenge, people that have got a different point of view, and you can't get that by employing people who, you know, who are just like you. You need lots of different types to make a successful team. I really learned and appreciate that here at Sodexo.